All right. I see the magic words. You're live. Welcome to my first live stream in quite a while. Great. Great to be with you. We had some little tech glitchy poos that have been resolved. I can hear myself in the little echo chamber. Okay, seems to be fixed. Welcome. My name is Patrick Coffin. I'm the founder of True North. And this says interesting. Okay, we're good. Um, If you want to connect dots and expose media false narratives, and you'd rather have an uncomfortable truth to a comfortable lie, check out patrickhoffin.media. That's the community that I founded. It's called True North. We have members in multiple countries, and we talk about the things that matter in this life and the next. And I thought it would be fun to jump on and see how a live stream goes. We'll prioritize your questions as they roll in. Just by way of short, compressed bio, I was born and raised in the eastern seaboard of Canada in Halifax, Nova Scotia, kept trekking west, went to the University of, no, let me start that again. I went to McGill University where I got a diplôme d'éducation in the philosophy of Catholic education. I went to Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio, where I got a master's degree in theology. So I am a serious Catholic. I'm a sinner. I have many imperfections, but man, do I try. One of the writers that I've learned a lot from is Kurt Vonnegut Jr., who wrote Slaughterhouse-Five and other novels that we all had to read in high school. He said he wanted two words on his tombstone. He tried. I love that. That's kind of my motto. He tried. So the Patrick Coffin Show drops every Thursday. We cover the intersection between faith and reason and culture and films and sarcasm and literature and especially media ecology and who gets to decide what's funny, unfunny, offensive, hateful, and we have more fun than canon law permits. I also lead pilgrimages. I just want to give a plug for our upcoming Italy pilgrimage. We're going to be in Rome, San Giovanni Rotondo, Assisi, Siena, Florence, Loreto, Monte Cassino. Fastest way to get connected with more information is to call Allie. She is our travel maven. Allie's number is 775 340 6047. That's 775 340 6047. Email's super easy to remember. Allie, that's ALLY, Allie.ontheway@gmail.com. Allie.ontheway@gmail.com. I'm going to be joined by Anthony Abate of the popular podcast Avoiding Babylon. And he's a regular guest on each other's shows, and we have a blast. So it's supposed to be fun. Remember that. It's supposed to be fun. So smash that bell, hit the subscription. Don't wait for the content to be searched out. Let it come to you. And I'd love to have more subscribers. It helps me help you. So anything you can give. If you go to patrickcoffin.media, there's also a donate tab. A lot of people are super busy. They just want to help me and be the wind beneath my wings. If you can donate, that would be super awesome. Even if you don't have time for all the enjoyable community engagement. So today I wanted to talk about something that, I grew up in Canada, which is now a wholly owned subsidiary of the comedies. Let's see. Let me preface everything by saying I'm going to be using some code, maybe some symbols like from the Carol Burnett show or charades, so we don't get in trouble with our betters. I grew up in Canada, and there's a lot of media phoniness in Canada. There's a lot of problems with politicians that are hiding in plain sight that you're not really supposed to notice. And so I'm kind of accustomed to this, so I can spot media phoniness a mile away. And one of the things I've noticed since she came to prominence here in California, starting in 2010, is Kamala Harris. And I'm trying to I'm trying to come up with any element about her presentation, her cackle laugh, her general demeanor that isn't nuclear grade phony. I'd love to hear from people who maybe agree with her policies, but recognize there's something afoot, there's something amiss rather about everything she's presented as, from her wardrobe to the shows she chooses to go on. It's all nuclear grade phony. She didn't gain a single vote in the primary. She hopped, skipped, and jumped over the primary process. She passed go. She collected $200 and she got to replace the sniffer in chief. Amazing. No mandate from her own party, not particularly likable. There's a kind of brittle artificiality to her whole demeanor. By all accounts, I mean, I'm here in California. I saw her rise to crash national politics. She exploited and maybe was exploited through her relationships with, shall we say, powerful men in California politics and showbiz. And she took that upward trajectory to end up as the attorney general, winning by a very, very slim margin over Republican Steve Cooley back in 2010. What a difference California would be if we had a different attorney general. Kamala Harris has persecuted pro-lifers, including my good friend David Daleiden of the Center for Medical Progress. She authorized armed police officers and law enforcement to storm his apartment and snatch his computer and his phones because David captured all kinds of incriminating evidence through a body cam through his creation of the Center for Medical Progress, a corporation that doesn't exist, but it allowed David to go undercover to negotiate with Planned Parenthood apparatchiks and executives for the sale and exchange of dead baby body parts. And for his troubles, the might of the big dog, the state and federal government authorities did not like this. And they're still trying to crush his voice. And the more footage comes out, the more devastating it is to the side that is against life from all stages, from natural conception until death. So she's definitely has that agenda, this kind of hard left, unremitting commitment to things like abortion. No one seems to be able to describe or explain sufficiently how she became the highest ranking female in US history to hold public office. It's a strange thing. You have to give credit to her handlers. They handle her quite well. If you watch the debate with Trump a few weeks ago, she's very polished. I'm not saying that she had a little earbud speaker and someone was feeding her, but I do know that when she's spontaneous on the stump or asking a question, she has that deer in headlights. She stammers. She appears a little bit, what's the word? A drunk or high. She seems frenetic, all over the map. But in that debate, she was smooth as glass. And she had lines and she drilled into Mr. Trump with her 1,000-yard death stare. And it just all had the affect of mega preparation. So if maybe a caveat is my bias. So I do have a bias. I want to come out straight and say that my bias is that I'm a disciple of Jesus. I just want to be a disciple. I want to have Jesus loved better and hopefully manifest his mercy and his kindness to other people as a practicing Catholic. I believe everything the Catholic Church teaches, especially and including the difficult, challenging bits. And if Jesus is not the Lord of everything in your life, your sexuality, your money, your future, your past, everything, then he's really not the Lord of anything, is he? So we're really big on Christ being king. The social kingship of Christ should reign over everything in creation and in our hearts. So obviously, from that point of view, Kamala Harris would never get my vote because she represents a whole worldview that's completely opposed to the kind of world that I want for myself and for my children. So I'm not really talking about policy. I'm talking about media presentation. And the media presentation has to do with style and affect and look. I just want to say hello, folks. Oh, there we go. Hey, World Stage, nice to see you. Robert Hassenauer, nuclear grade phony. Fantastic. Yep. Pile in, folks. Pile in. Love to have more of you here. I'm going to be talking about Italy and also about True North when we wrap up here. But just a few words on the nuclear grade phoniness of Kamala Harris. Where to start? It's just such low hanging fruit everywhere. Everything about her, from the fake cackle to her body language. She has this weird thing. It's almost like, remember the other day in Butler, Elon Musk was jumping up and down like an excited 8-year-old. She has this kind of awkward, gangly thing where she projects over the top body language to accompany the things that she's saying. It's a little bit off putting. So let's start the list with verbal fetishes or verbal fetishes. Sometimes she'll get on a roll and she'll repeat phrases. Sometimes it's the word sustainable. She gets on a roll and everything's sustainable. And sometimes the sustainable will shift to affordable and everything's affordable. And she speaks everything through an economic lens. And her very carefully crafted words are edited for her, as what happened with 60 Minutes the other day. Because the lamestream media, the legacy MSM, are wholly owned subsidiaries of the Democratic Party. They protect their girl. They want Kamala from the block in the White House. They defend her. They don't correct her. They buttress her mistakes, and they definitely put the shine on her entire candidacy. Witness the Trump-Harris debates, where it was basically a three-way gang-up on Donald Trump. Then there's her strange ruminations about the passage of time. Remember this? Now, if you saw my recent interview with the extraordinary Esti Palti, the for my money, the absolute best Kamala Harris impersonator, she just nails it. If you listen to that episode, which is after a week, 42,000 views, which is really good. It's good for me. It's a roaring back to life, and I credit Esti for her brilliant improv. We did not schedule or pre-rehearse anything. She had no idea what I was going to ask, and I had no idea what she was going to answer, which I think made it 10 times better because it's very spontaneous. If you close your eyes, Esti is Kamala. It's crazy. Time and the significance of time, the passage of time. This reminds me of the 1979 movie starring Peter Sellers. It's based on a Paddy Chayefsky novel. It's called Being There. Two movies from the 70s you should watch. Being There, starring Peter Sellers, and Network, starring, what's his name? Not Robert Mitchum. It'll come to me. William Holden and Peter Finch and Faye Dunaway. Network, very prophetic, written by the same guy, Jerzy Kosinski. May he rest in peace. He ended up committing suicide. But in Being There, we have the backstory is that a powerful political figure has died, and his gardener, the guy who kind of takes care of the house, his name is Chauncey, sometimes called Chance. Chauncey Gardner is the kind of the character's name, and he's like he's a sweet idiot. He's like a savant who's an adult, but he has the mind of an 8-year-old, and he answers questions in such a simple, childlike way that the press that come to the door of the millionaire influential man, they don't know he's dead. They think Chauncey Gardner is the guy who's the political candidate. Mr. So-and-so, tell us about your economic theory. I have a garden. I have a garden. And sometimes in the spring, you have to water the garden and make sure the seeds are put properly. Well, the press interpret this as Chauncey is a philosopher king. He's absolutely brilliant. And he's giving answers in this poetic, super deep, profound way. But actually, we, the audience, know it's a wonderful dramatic irony. We know he's just like a short bus, very simple man who doesn't mean anything profound by it. So you can see how the press observe what they want to observe, hear what they want to hear, see what they want to see. So I think that's a kind of a kissing cousin to the perception that the press have of Kamala Harris. She really can do no wrong. There's no caca for him to step into. They will not let her step into caca. The media, forget it. They're like her Secret Service. And they give her a lot more coverage than the Secret Service gave Trump. Full show. And who can forget what can be unburdened by what has been? Now that is always accompanied by body language too. La, 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 la. What can be. And then she like awkwardly like does this thing as if she's casting the what has been unburdened by. And I think she believes that this is profound. And I don't see any reporters, with very few exceptions, if you have an exception, I'd love to hear it, asking her, why do you keep going back to your go-to statement about the unburdened thing? Isn't it weird? Why do you create word salad that goes on and on and on? Not only does Kamala Harris not answer questions, she's like on a different planet. She's in her own little Chauncey Gardner zone and no one challenges it. And she also has magical powers. She has transformed herself by some dark magic from Indian to black. She was Indian American. Her mother's Indian. Her father is technically from Jamaica, but let's just say not everything we're told about her family background on the blackness side of the world is necessarily true. More on that in a few minutes. But she sold herself as Indian American. Sometimes it's called Asian American. And it's all accompanied by pandering. If in 2016 she was happy to describe herself as Indian American, now personally, I'm a Catholic. I don't care about skin color. Skin color has no value to me. I value culture and virtue and truth. I don't really care about skin color. That's all downstream political nonsense. It's like the words conservative and liberal. Those are garbage terms today. But she became black for the 2020 election. Almost verging on blackface, accompanied by all kinds of pandering. Now, I'm going to get to an example of pandering in a second. Her wiki page has domesticated all this because now they're doubling down, saying it's the both and. She's the first Asian American to do this. She's the first African American to do that. So now she's both. She's simultaneously Indian/Asian American, and she's black. Astounding magical powers. And now she's going from VP to run for the highest office in the land with her magical powers. Now, another pandering example is her walking out of this record store. She's got some albums in a bag and she's cackling up a storm. She is like on cloud nine, and the press walk up to her. It's all staged. It looks so phony. Oh, Miss Harris, what did you shop for? Oh, well, I got and she's got the Kamala from the hood, Kamala from the block accent. I got me some Charles Mingus and Miles Davis and Porgy and Bess. All the albums happen to be black artists. Now, nothing wrong with any of them. They're all classics. But this is obvious pandering. And no one's more annoyed at that than black conservatives or people who are supportive of President Trump. They can see through it. In Detroit a few weeks ago, she put on her best girl from the hood accent. Just a demagogue, right? Sometimes there's a Latina. She'll say something like, she sounds like Rosie Perez. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Pandering, pandering, pandering. In Detroit, she sounded like an extra from the Jeffersons. Let me know in the comments if you get that reference to the Jeffersons. Oh man, we've got lots of folks here. Let me try to catch up here because I want to honor the people who have stopped by. Hello to everyone. Robert Valiant Thor, voting for Kamala is like taking a massive SH asterisk T in your pants and then slipping on a fresh pair of sunglasses and confidently claiming everything's under control. Valiant Thor, thank you for your quasi-divinity. Ethna Murphy, she's trying to appear as an intellectual. Yep, 100% true. Aided and abetted by the hosts that interview her and never challenge her. But she's a character, right? As a California native, she didn't speak like this. Yeah, she's just sounded like just a regular California straight. It's called the California accent. There's like no discernible. There's no twang. There's no Boston Brahmin. There's no Arkansas. There's no Minnesota. It's just kind of a neutral, almost a TV anchor broadcaster accent, the non-accent accent. She never had that when she was the AG in California. Hello, Crystal. Yes, Candace Owens owns this. Yes, let me just linger there. Candace is doing a lot of Kamala family of origin research. She's connecting a lot of dots going back 3 generations. And it seems that her father, Donald Harris, was actually white, but he was born in Jamaica. And there's been some, let's just say, swapping out of photos in her book describing who her parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents are. Something is amiss in the state of Denmark as far as the actual genealogy of Kamala Harris. So kudos to Candace. She's really, really on that. And I mean, if Candace is wrong, this gets into territory where she might be vulnerable to libel. But no one goes after her. They might call her bad names, but they don't challenge the facts that she presents, collates, and explores. And it's all done in real time. So kudos to Candace Owens for being on that question that no one else is. Everyone else in the media, including alternative media, are curiously incurious about things like this. Think of it. If you're lying about your very family identity, your parents, grandparents, great grandparents, because you want to get votes, doesn't that undermine your trustworthiness as a candidate? So, well, let me turn back to some questiones here. Yeah, Ethna says skin color is very important to Dems. True. Brahmin, Hindu, yeah, tribal. I was thinking Brahmin, Brahmin, the Boston Brahmin accent, sometimes called the Mid-Atlantic accent. Watch movies from the 40s through the 60s with actresses like um, drawing a blank, Kate Hepburn, Jean Arthur, the sirens from that era, a lot of them, and Betty Davis and Baxter. It's kind of a clipped mid-Atlantic accent. It's like they grew up halfway to London. It's also known as the Boston Brahmin accent. Oh, hey, Mena, totally agree. Oh my gosh, and Mena totally agrees with me. See, I'm going to screenshot this to show, prove that Mena agrees with me something. Totally. Hey, Mena. Nancy Thomas, do you think people are willing to vote for her as a vehicle for empowering Obama and crew? They're not concerned about how ridiculous she is. She is obviously the sequel to Obama. Obama, I believe, is the puppet master since Sniffer Joe got in office. I think poor Joe. I mean, it's true elder abuse. They just flipped the script a little bit and put the female in the lead and kept the sniffer in chief in the background. So yes, I do think it's a vehicle. I think Kamala's a proxy for her handlers. Yep, got to thank a union member. That's the tragedy. I support unions. I'm a Catholic. I agree with Catholic social teaching. I agree with the family wage. I'm not a laissez-faire capitalist. But Union Inc., the industry now of unions, is corrupt. They're all lockstep with hard left democratic policies, and that's sad because unions can be legitimate. Diego Camacho, Patrick, is it you know what to give your homie a goodnight kiss? Yes, that would be. Yeah, I think research indicates if you're giving your homie a goodnight kiss, that indicates that. I want to use language that's proper to our ethos here on YouTube. Me never. Can you please say true dat? My kids crack up when you say it. True dat. What am I, your entertainment play monkey? Apparently so, because I said true dat. Now let's go back to Kamala Mamala, the cackler. Let's contrast just from, again, forget policy, but the decisions that Team Kamala have made to only put her in very comfortable bootlicking scenarios is quite a high contrast to what ex-President Trump is willing to do. He went in front of the Association of Black Journalists, I believe in Chicago last month, a few months ago. I'm really terrible at how long ago things happened. And that was a grilling. It was an unfriendly crowd. It was kind of a hostile environment. And Trump stood there and took it and answered their questions. And I think that's the kind of thing that gets people off the fence. Even if you don't like him, you have to admit that he's deliberately putting himself into the kind of symbolic ice plunge of uncomfortability. Kamala Harris has never done that. She will never go on, even, my gosh, lame Fox News. Pardon me, this is what conservatism has become, Fox News. She won't even do that. There'll be no sit down with someone who's going to actually grill her and give her pushback. Never. Because that would threaten the carefully constructed image they have of her, the paper mache Kamala, which is the candidate they're presenting. I don't know if you saw the really cringy exchange with Drew Barrymore. We don't need a Kamala. We need a Mamala. Here, give me a hug. With their noses this far apart. I thought it was just going to become just a full-on inappropriate love fest with Drew Barrymore on her sofa. Stephen Colbert is the same thing. She's done this blitz. Stephen Colbert, can we have a moment of silence for Mr. Colbert? Very confused faux Catholic. He said that Michelle Obama was an attractive woman. He was falling all over her, and then he falls all over Kamala Harris, and he says, you're the kind of person, the kind of candidate that I'd like to have a beer with. Can I have a beer with you? Ah! And then she cackles, cackles, cackles. It's all pre-rehearsed. Stephen Colbert would not be permitted to bring a Miller High Life into his show and offer it to her. So now she's consuming alcohol on. I don't know of any candidate for the presidency has ever consumed alcohol on national television. And she's like, it's just image burnishment. They want her to seem less plasticine, less one percenter California elite, and more down to earth. Kamala from the block. And then she goes on. She goes on The View. I thought all the ladies of The View were going to have a collective apoplectic fit of joy. They were just stunned at the great woman expounding about time and the passage of time, going forward unburdened by what has been. Sycophantic environment. Again, high contrast with Donald Trump. And by the way, I'm going to do another live stream about the shortcomings of Donald Trump, lest you think I'm just a MAGA shell. By the way, I get paid nothing from nobody to express my views. I have no corporate sponsors. I have no handlers. I'm not getting money from Russia or any foreign entity. I'm supported by members of True North. That's it. If people don't like my views, that's okay. I don't mind at all. I just hope there's no gluteal damage as you exit the door. I want unfiltered conversations between adults. You don't have to agree with everything I say. There's even the closest marriage in history had some disagreements. They're healthy. Iron sharpens iron. The clash of ideas is what it's all about. That's why I oppose censorship. I want all of our conversations to be unfiltered and evaluated on their own merits. So, turn back to questions because there's more to say about her joyful warrior persona. Okay. Do you think there'll be trouble when Trump is president? Eighth now, what do you mean by trouble? Arachnophobia is so stupid, says Diego. Let spiders get married. Exactly. Yeah. Actually, HOMO, schmomosexual, HOMOSEXUAL, is actually fear of things that are the same. So if asked, are you homophobic? No, I'm not afraid of things that are the same. I don't know if there'll be trouble. I've put away my crystal ball because I've dropped it and it's smashed many, many times. I'm just not into the future prediction thing. I think talk of civil war is highly overrated. And I don't think we're there quite yet. We are divided, certainly. Our divisions are not just about cessation for political reasons. People talk about the Carolinas doing this. People have talked for 10 years at least about Texas maybe pulling the trigger on secession. It's not, I think the quote unquote unspoken or unannounced civil war is a war of ideas. We're now living in what's increasingly becoming a simulacrum, a kind of metaverse, where it's not territorial or political party that's the line of battle, it's ideology. And it's not just an info war of Alex Jones, although it is that. It's a war over what reality is. And with the rise of AI and the incredible realism of deepfake technology, it becomes harder and harder to trust what you're saying. Out here in California, Governor Gavin Hairgel Newsom wants to pass laws forbidding comedy, parody. during election times. That's because there was a hilarious, savagely funny parody ad where he seems to be attacking Kamala Harris. Just absolutely brilliant. And to my ear, it sounds like him talking. I can't. It's kind of like SD Palti's brilliant impersonation of Kamala Harris. When you close your eyes, it's like really her. If you close your eyes on that ad, it just sounds like him. You take samples from all kinds of uh, audio that's available, and you cobble it together by computer, and it sounds like the person. How can you trust news photos anymore? How can you trust pretty much anything that's on a white screen full of pixelated light? So we're in the era of a battle over reality itself. Quick note, if you're a Christian, you might appreciate this. In Second Thessalonians, St. Paul talks about the man of sin, which is a reference to the Antichrist. And when the Antichrist comes, he will produce such a deception that the whole world, even the elect, would be swayed by this deception, if not for grace. Well, who are the elect? The elect aren't an elitist top 2%. They're not the absolute best saints, but they are the people who consciously want to be disciples of Jesus Christ. That's the elect, those who are persevering in faith. They're called toward heaven. They're in peril of hell. That's the elect. So never before in history have we had the kind of technology that can produce deception the way we now have with AI and deep fake tech. If you want an interesting rabbit hole plunge, do some research on Project Bluebeam. That's all I'll say about that for now. It's hard to know whether you're seeing something real or seeing something half real or seeing something absolutely deceptive. And I think the Kamala Harris candidacy steps into the middle of that. There are some things that are real, but it's all covered over by this kabuki theater of performance. We're watching a performance. Almost, it borders on an actress pretending to be a candidate. But back to the joyful word thing. No one can take your joy away from you. I'm hearing Este's voice in my head. Hilarious. Her smile is like. Now I know this is ad hominem. I'm not saying this is why you should agree with me or anything like that. I'm just making an observation about her presentation, her body language when she smiles, which is she can turn it on like that. She erupts in here's a good word, paroxysm. She erupts in a paroxysm of laughter. And then her smile is weird because there's a gestalt problem with her face. The parts of her face seem to be smiling and super excited and hyper enthused, except the one most important part of her face, which is her eyes. There's a statement attributed to Aristotle, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Everything about her, it's kind of like Hillary Clinton. When she smiles, everything kind of turns in a smilish direction, except for the eyes. And that's how you can kind of tell that there's something Stepford Wives-ish and performative about it. Back to questions. Hello to all the new people. By the way, check out patrickcoffin.media if you want to ponder joining the True North movement. We connect dots. We expose media false narratives. We have more fun than canon law permits. And I'm writing a book, and I'm dropping chapters of the book on a regular basis. The book is called, it's either going to be 100 or 50. It might just be 50. The 50 movies that you have to watch before you're allowed to die. 100 might be a little bit more too unruly. I can always put out a second volume. But I'm asked all the time as a screenwriter and producer to talk about films and recommend movies that can really make a difference in your life. And most of them, by the way, came out before 1965. So patrickcoffin.media is the place to find out more about that. So if Kamala Harris really believes in the DEI ideology, the dogma of diversion, equity, and inclusion, why did she choose a white male as her VP running mate? Why not get Someone else, someone more DEI-ish. Could she really not find a capable Black or actual Black Indian hybrid or disabled or Schmesbian or Native or Aboriginal candidate? She had to go with Tim Walz. Tim Walz, who's legit weird. This is the thing about the democratic machine, the media machine, the democratic media industrial complex. They project all the time. That candidacy, that ticket is weird. Kamala, the Indian slash Black cackler, and Tim Walz, the allegedly Minnesota nice aging boomer guy, together they are weird. That's why they call JD Vance and Trump weird. Classic projection. And a little bit inconsistent to not go with a minority if your whole shtick is diversity, equity, and inclusion and quotas. So that's the summary of why I think everything about her candidacy is phony. I want to thank you for my first live stream back. We're going to do these regularly, maybe a couple per week. Let me know in the comments section what kind of topics you'd like to hit. What's in the news that no one else is hitting? Maybe there's a new angle you want to get on some event. I'm interested in the technology that moves hurricanes and alters weather. That's another one of those things on that list that if you think it at all, even if you think the thought, you immediately realize someone's going to call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm also interested in the history of the term conspiracy theorist, which dates back to the 1950s in the OSS, which is now called the CIA. This is all this has a reason. These things all cascade together with a motive, with a purpose. And that's the kind of thing we do inside the True North movement. Let's see. McNever, Patrick, you've always been ahead of the rest. Well, thank you. I'll always support your work. You made a big difference in my life. Well, thank you very much. That's music to my ears. All glory be to God. I can't identify as conservative and I can't identify as liberal. I think those are garbage terms. As a Catholic, I cannot identify as a trad. I don't want to be a traditional Catholic. I don't want to be a conservative Catholic. I don't want to be a liberal Catholic or progressive Catholic. I just want no adjectives. Catholic plus nothing. Can we just do that? This is why William Briggs is a must read. William Briggs, he's at Fame Celebrity on X. He wrote a magnificent book. It's basically on spotting fallacies and how you know you're being lied to. The book is called Everything You Believe Is Wrong. And on page 6 of that book, I don't have it with me, but page 6 describes why it's better to be based than to be conservative. Very fascinating. Conservative thinking is tribal. Based thinking is independent. And actually, I would love to do a live stream on mimesis. This is the human nature theory developed by Rene Girard and popularized by Luke Burgess in his book Wanting. Mimesis is the thesis, which I think is very accurate, that human beings were made to love what others love and hate what they hate. This explains office gossip. This explains fads and trends. This helps explain why people camp out on Hollywood and Vine for movie premieres. This explains long, like 7-hour lineups for Black Friday sales. This explains the ice bucket challenge. Remember the ice bucket challenge back in 2016 or so, where people threw buckets of ice water on their heads, allegedly to raise money for ALS research? Dumbest thing in the world. Didn't move the needle on ALS research. But the bandwagon effect is explainable by mimesis. And it's very, very strong in the world today. People are very afraid of the opinions of others. I'll close with a recommendation. And thank you very much, Minevar. Is it Minevar? Minevar? I don't want to be racist. Is it Minevar? Is it Kamala? Is it Kamala? Is it Haris? See how sensitive? See, I've got this was my late dad's. My brand, my superhero cape proof that I'm a sensitive male. I have a cardigan on. I'm going to recommend a book by Mark Manson. It's got a potty word in the title. It's an excellent book for anyone who's a Christian, anyone who has convictions. Even if you're an atheist, you're going to find something really good in this book as far as pursuing the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. better to embrace an uncomfortable truth than to fall for a comfortable lie. The book is called Mark Manson, Manson. The book is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. It's F asterisk CK. Outstanding book by Mark Manson. So I want to thank you for making this a fun live stream. Again, in the comments, hit me up for topics. Maybe I can bring a guest on to do a live stream with someone. The last live stream I think I did with Bart Sibrel, Sibrel.com. He wrote Moon Man. He's like the major expositor of the evidence that we never went to the moon. I'm not afraid of taboo topics. To me, our minds were made for the truth. The great G.K. Chesterton said, our minds were made to bite down on something, and that something is the truth. And some people are so open-minded that all their brains fall out. It's not the pitfall I want to fall into. So with that, I want to thank you for participating. Share your comments in the comment section. Check out patrickcoffin.media to join the True North movement, and keep in touch. I'm Patrick Coffin. Be a saint. What else is there?